It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of March 22nd, 1996. And while there is a lot of movies to look at, 7 of them, most of them are pretty forgettable or movies that I'd never seen, so we should get through this one pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which isn't really saying a whole lot. It's the remake of Diabolique, starring Sharon Stone.
Does kill, you know.
Not reliably.
She had the perfect plan
One good drink ought to do it.
for the perfect murder.
He's drunk, he fell in.
What do we do now?
Wait for the body to surface.
The only thing missing was the body.
Somebody knows.
What was he wearing when he disappeared? That isn't the suit there, is it?
Sharon Stone, Isabella Gianni, Chaz Palminteri, and Kathy Bates.
Someone's playing a game with us.
Diabolique. Rated R. Starts Friday, March 22nd.
So this was the movie that Sharon Stone turned the Flintstones down for, and she later regretted that decision, and judging by that trailer, you can kind of see why, because this movie is not very good. It's a remake of a French film called Les Diaboliques, and it's based on the novel She Who Was No More, and the trailer did not really sell this movie whatsoever. Judging by the reviews for this movie, yeah, the movie was not that great. I mean, I saw it one time a couple years ago, but I don't remember a damn thing about it. And what I do remember about it was that it was not very good. It's one of those remakes that should be so much better than it actually is, but it just kind of falls into a very predictable premise and no real surprises. It uses jump scares to try to convince you that this is something that's really terrifying, when really you're just using it to wake the audience up because they're falling asleep watching this movie. And this is directed by the guy who did Christmas Vacation too, and it's just like, yeah, dude, you should probably just stick to comedies or something other than thrillers, because this is not a very good thriller whatsoever. Not helped by the fact that Sharon Stone just really is not really giving her all in this, and it's a good cast overall. Her, Isabella Gianni, Chaz Palminteri, Kathy Bates, Shirley Knight, Donald Logan, J.J. Abrams have a cameo in this, in one of their early film roles. But really, when it's all said and done, it's just not an engaging film whatsoever. It's a boring movie. The mystery isn't that exciting. I've never seen the original film, but I could guarantee you it's probably a whole lot better than this movie was. It's just not an intriguing movie. I remember watching it one time, and I literally almost forgot everything about it since then, So that is Diabolique. Let's get to one of the few bright spots of this particular weekend, and that is Spike Lee's Girl 6.
Hottest live talk line around.
She's got talent.
6 for sex, darling.
And she's got a dream.
You're an actress.
But most of all, she's got a way with words.
Here it comes, baby.
An outrageous new comedy from Spike Lee. Girl 6.
You know, you were such a freak.
I always was, you just never brought it out anymore.
Rated R. Starts March 22nd.
I should probably say bright spot in quotation marks, because it's a little bit better than Diabolique, but then again, it's not really... Okay, I'll just put it this way. It's not a bad movie per se, but for Spike Lee, you kind of expect a lot more from it. This is an odd movie, to say the least. This is a movie that really did feel like it was all over the place. There wasn't really much of a stable plot to work with, and the overall finished project just seemed weird overall. Like, the performances, I think, worked the best in this. Teresa Randall in this is very good. She carries the movie along. And her and Spike Lee have some good chemistry together, along with Isaiah Washington, who's also in this movie. And once in a while, you do get a good joke and some good banter here and there, but once again, they never really feel like they go all the way with the ideas that they have here. I think the premise is very intriguing, but it says a lot when a movie like For a Good Time Call from a couple years back did this concept a whole lot better than what Spike Lee could do. But then again, it also probably doesn't help that Spike Lee didn't actually write this movie. This is actually the first one that he directed that he didn't write the script for. And I think Lee's writing really would have brought this to another level that could have saved it, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case here. To me, Girl 6 seemed like Spike Lee's first attempt to try to broaden his audience outside the norm, but it just never really came together all that well. At times, they can work very well, largely the performances and some of the comedy and more serious moments, but it felt like Spike Lee was trying to go for a more mainstream approach with this one, but it just didn't connect at all, and it kind of feels lost in the end. But, luckily later this year, he would kind of redeem himself, but with this movie, fine for what it is, but not something I want to watch again, so... that's Girl 6. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, Halle Berry in Race the Sun.
In
in this high-tech international road race. A group of low-tech kids from Hawaii.
What are we even doing here?
Are about to show the world.
We're in 37th place.
Yeah.
They're the hottest team under the sun. Race the Sun. Did we win?
You're joking, right?
Rated PG. At theaters March 22nd.
Halle Berry really said yes to this, didn't she? I think the critical review for this movie kind of says it best. This is kind of like Cool Runnings for solar cars, which does not sound like an intriguing idea whatsoever, and unfortunately the movie kind of feels like that. It doesn't really feel like there's anything noteworthy about this particular film. There's nothing really all that engaging or exciting. It kind of runs through a predictable premise for a film like this. You do have some names in here besides Halle Berry. Jim Belushi is in here, Casey Affleck, Eliza Dushku, Joel Edgerton is in this movie, one of his early film roles, Steve Zahn. There is talent aboard on this, and even the writer and producer of this is one of the co-writers of Rain Man, which won the Academy Award in '88. But other than that, though, this is a corny movie. It's a very predictable film. It doesn't really do anything unique or different to make it kind of stand out over its own. It's a largely forgettable movie, and for good reason. Probably easily one of the worst movies Halle Berry's ever done, and she's as many good movies as she's been in. There have been some really bad ones too, and we're definitely going to get into a lot more of them as we keep going through these years. So, quick one on that one. That's Race the Sun. Let's move on to probably the best movie overall this weekend, and that is Flirting with Disaster.
Mom, why are you doing this? If you had to choose between these parents...
Why don't you leave me alone? Why don't you just...
or these parents...
Even if you were Jeffrey Dahmer, we would love you.
What would you do?
Is that tyrant your mother?
The New York Times calls it side-splitting and uproarious. Wildly original, rates Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up. Kind of remind me of my mother. Flirting with Disaster.
Rated R. Now playing select cities Friday, April 5th everywhere.
This is about as good David O. Russell as you can get. This is a film that definitely, when you think of the best of what David O. Russell has done as a filmmaker, this is usually one of those films. It's his second film as a filmmaker, and it's a pretty entertaining movie. It's a very darkly funny, well-casted movie with Ben Stiller, Patricia Arquette, Téa Leoni, Alan Alda, Mary Tyler Moore, Joel Siegel. The critic Joel Siegel is in this movie. George Siegel, Lily Tomlin, Josh Brolin, Richard Jenkins, David Patrick Kelly from Andy Richter Controls the Universe, and just a really good cast overall here. And it is a very funny movie. In fact, there's interesting history behind this movie. Burt Reynolds. I'm getting confused with all these names here. Burt Reynolds, not Bruce Willis. Good Lord. Burt Reynolds was actually up for a role in this movie, but David O. Russell didn't want to work with him after he heard he was abusive on the set of the Larry Sanders Show, which, if you saw the footage later that came out later on while they were making I Heart Huckabees, that's kind of a little bit of foreshadowing to what eventually happened there. But hey, David O. Russell's made a lot of good movies. Maybe not as of late. Most of his movies that he's made recently have not been as good as they should have been. I think the last great movie I think he did was Silver Linings Playbook, and that's one of my all-time favorite movies. Honestly, my favorite movie he's ever made, but this is still right when he was slowly but surely building his craft, and it's a really damn good movie. A very funny film, really well done. I can't recommend this movie enough. I think pretty much everybody that knows David O. Russell's work has probably seen this movie, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed by it, by no means. So, that's Flirting with Disaster. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and it's Eric Roberts starring in It's My Party.
You look like you caught your balls in your zipper, Dr. Dave. I have 10 days till I croak, right?
But it could also be several months.
This is my party. So, woo! There's gonna be no wake and no funeral.
Stop it, Nick. Stop it.
I'm running out of time. It's not my fault.
So It's My Party is one of the first feature films to address the topic of AIDS patients dying with dignity. And actually, this is based on the true events of this director, Randall Kaiser. His lover at the time, Harry Stein, accomplished architect and a designer. This is actually based on his story when he actually had a farewell party that was held for him in 1992. And it's got a pretty solid cast overall here. Olivia Newton-John, Margaret Cho, Bronson Pinchot. You see Eric Roberts in there, George Siegel. Again, Larry Grant. Again, with these names, Lee Grant, Marley Matlin, Roddy McDowell, Steve Anton, Bruce Davison, Sally Kellerman, Eric Roberts in there. Of course, there's a reunion for Kaiser and and Olivia Newton-John, who had directed her in Grease almost 20 years prior to this. I don't really know much about this movie. It's apparently got some mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, you can't really go by that, but I don't know. At least it looks like something different for Eric Roberts. At least we don't usually see him in these type of roles before, so maybe there is something here to it. Maybe there's not. Don't really know for sure. I don't really know too much about the movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it too much. But so that's that one there. It's My Party. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Jack and Sarah.
I got a new job. I'm a nanny.
She's not proper.
A nanny? What's so funny?
She's not fitting.
I think you're a fool.
What's wrong? She's not British.
Oh, right.
But to Jack,
She doesn't need someone who's impressive, Mom. She needs someone who loves her.
she's a breath of fresh air.
Marvelous!
Richard E. Grant, Samantha Mathis,
I know this is against the rules, but
Jack and Sarah.
So Jack and Sarah's premise is basically Samantha Mathis plays this woman who becomes a nanny in the home of a recent British widower, the widower in this case being Richard E. Grant, and you also have Judi Dench, Ian McKellen, Eileen Atkins among the cast in this. That's pretty much everything I know about this one, because it's another one that I haven't really seen. Can't really say if it's good or not, but I don't know. The stuff in here doesn't look too bad. It actually looks like it's kind of a heartwarming little romantic comedy, but trying to see if there's anything else here about this particular film that I would need to discuss about. The director of this did a lot of worked on the script for Shrek 4, and also was one of the writers on Flushed Away, and he also wrote Letters to Juliet with Amanda Seyfried. But I wish I had some more for you, but that's pretty much about it. I haven't seen this movie, so I don't really know if it's good or not, but that's all the information I could gather on this one. So another quick one there, that's Jack and Sarah. Let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Frisk.
That was my dream, anyway.
I had to cut some stuff from that trailer because the trailer is actually pretty graphic. This is a first-person narrative about a serial killer who describes a series of ritual murders in letters to his sometime lover and best friend and his younger brother, an object of desire to Dennis, and to the Dennis being the killer in this. And the trailer for this is pretty intense. Like I said, I had to cut a lot of stuff out of there because it does get a little bit more graphic than you would expect for a trailer like this. And I haven't seen the movie, honestly, so I can't really say too much about it. But the reviews for it do not really sound all that interesting or exciting, despite the fact that there is possibly some good, well acting in this. You also have Parker Posey in this, as well as Alexis Arquette. But yeah, other than that, I really do not know too much about this movie. And quite honestly, the way this trailer is presented, it's an odd trailer, I will say that, and it doesn't really make me want to see this movie, even though it could end up being pretty good, but I sincerely doubt it. So I'm just going to move on and go to the end of the show here with Frisk. Well, that was certainly a bizarre way to end this episode. That's going to wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies. When we come back next time, it'll be the end of March 1996 with, I'm seeing here, 6 movies. Basically 5 new movies and 1 older film. We've got Steve Martin and Sergeant Bilko. We have the re-release of Disney's Oliver and Company. Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones in A Family Thing. We also have the sequel to All Dogs Go to Heaven, All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, Carried Away, and Denise Calls Up. So 6 movies to look at next time around. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care.